Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Gemini for July 2015. Go to my website, aspiritualspark.com, or click on the link below this video to see more about my personal live coaching, also to see more about my 28-day virtual coaching program called Shine, which is intended to help you clear out the inner programs that are stopping you from experiencing the highest expression of the stars, and internally and externally. So while you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter and become part of my community. Also, my Shine program is available on a sliding scale, so check it out because I have it priced so that everyone can afford it because I want you to do this. So what is going on in July? We have a very powerful month. We've got 2 full moons. We have some sweet aspects. We have some obnoxious aspects, and we're going to just talk about all of it mostly in order. From the beginning of the month, we have the first full moon of the month, and this full moon is quite wonderfully aspected. The last full moon in June, we had some chaotic elements with Neptune not in a good angle to that full moon. Now this full moon, we have the counter energy to that. We have very beautiful aspects with Neptune. Neptune is, well, like every planet, every sign, every placement has this range of potential expression, this spectrum of experience, and when from highest to lowest. And when it's in a nice angle or a positive angle or a coherent angle, everything comes back to math, everything comes back to sacred geometry. When it's in a nice angle, then we get its good side, or we get its favorable potentials. It's more likely that the positive aspects are going to come out. And that's this full moon. So July 1st, we have Neptune beautifully angled to the sun and the moon in this fullness. Now, the full moon is going to happen for, some of you are going to experience this in the 8th house. Some of you are going to experience this in the 7th house. But either way, these are both the partnership houses. So some kind of fullness, some kind of fruition or completion with a project with someone you're working with a partner, with some kind of close relationship, with you and resources, something involving money, your money, spousal money, loans, debt, something like that. There's fullness that comes here. July 1st is really an astrological power day of epic proportions, I'm calling it, because besides having the full moon with this nice aspect, that's nice and that's inspirational, and that's a time to be in your studio, which we'll talk about as a theme for this month, being in your studio. But what's making this so much more magical is that we have a bunch of different layers. I'm calling it a symphony, a beautiful, loud, vibrant symphony, where all of these instruments in the form of the planets are coming together in this beautiful way. And the symphony started long before this time. You know, there's things that have happened that they're longer term transits, and then planets kept getting added to it. So we had Jupiter coming and starting to expand. The energy, for some of you, it will be the 4th house, expanding your home and family. And for some of you, this is still in the 3rd house of your communication and publishing projects and speaking and writing and transportation and mobility, short-term travel, things with certain relatives like siblings or cousins or uncles, aunts, etc. So one of those 2 sectors, either home or home-related things, or this communication transportation sector, has had Jupiter enlivening it. That was starting last summer for some of you, you know, and for some of you it started before. It's complicated depending on what placement you have in Gemini, because these cycles are different depending on your placement, what degree it's at. But we'll say that the symphony started last summer when Jupiter got into Leo. And then Uranus was making a loose trine at that time. And a trine is a 120-degree angle. It's the most favorable angle in all of astrology. It's coherent, it's beautiful, it's magical. So Uranus, the planet of surprises and insights that come out of the blue, was in this beautiful angle with Jupiter, heightening luck and surprises and synchronicities that Jupiter was already bringing to one of these 2 houses for you. Then they got tighter towards the end of last year, and then they started to wane in their degree measurement. But then at the end of June, around June 22nd, June 23rd, they got exact again. So this was like, oh, the angels are singing, and you know, it's just a really big time. But now that we're into the beginning of July, and even the whole month of July, since these 2 planets take so long to move around, they have not really left this trine position. It's just loosened some. It's not as exact. So these symphony members are going full bore. And then on July 1st, while the full moon is happening with all the nice Neptune aspects, then Venus comes and makes a conjunction to Jupiter, also makes this wonderful trine to Uranus. Venus rules love, beauty, and money, gets that in on the deal, you know? And then we have Mercury coming between July 2nd and July 5th and making this fabulous aspect between Venus and Jupiter together and Uranus. So information coming in, ideas, something having to do with your physical body, something having to do with how you're redefining your identity comes in to this beautiful orchestra symphony. So then I'm describing this as like in the background we have an off-key, like kind of far in the background we have this off-key instrument being played while this beautiful symphony is happening, and that is in the form of the sun making an opposition to Pluto. No matter what your Gemini placement, you're having this opposition happen in your houses of me and we, either me and we or my stuff and our stuff. It's these me-we houses. And your earlier degree placements are going to have it, you know, in the 8th house. You later degree placements still have this in the 7th house, but 7th and 1st, or 1st and 7th, or 2nd and 8th. But those are the two houses of me and we. The first house is the house of me, myself. The second house is the house of me and my stuff. The 7th house is the house of relationships. The 8th house is the house of relationships with us and our resources. So this is the energy that's being very strongly accentuated. And it's not just this sun, you know, where your identity is getting opposed by this Plutonian nuclear force of birth, death, transformation, rebirth. It's also later in the month, Mercury and then Mars are going to be conjunct, making the same opposition to Pluto. So this theme of me and my stuff, us and our stuff, opposition, death, and sometimes literal death, but more times it's figurative death, you know, but blowing up of things, transformation, this battle with the in-laws, this battle with your family, this battle with your spouse or your ex or your business partner. Energy is coming here that's becoming very strong with yourself versus these other people. So then, that's the off-key thing that kind of starts on July 6th. Then we have some more sweet spots still with our symphony. We have Mars and then Mercury now coming and making this beautiful aspect to Neptune. And so that's why I'm calling this a time to be in your studio, because there's all these beautiful aspects to Neptune that are coming. And Neptune brings this wonderful, inspirational energy when we're working with favorable angles. So you'll be very inspired and you'll want to be able to have all of your goodies, you know, that you create with, you want to have them out, you want to have them dusted off, you want to have them ready to go so that when inspiration, you know, strikes, you don't have to look for your guitar, or did I lend it to someone, or get your paints out, or realize you're out of an important color. You don't want that to happen. You want to have everything set up so that when you're like, oh my gosh, I feel something coming through right now, you have everything set up. And then it's good to be in your studio also, because for these chaotic things, you can be in there doing something productive and making alchemy with the energy. So after that little sweet spot, the 8th and the 13th, we're continuing the 12th. Now the sun comes and makes this challenging aspect to Uranus. So Pluto and Uranus have been, you know, were in a challenging aspect. That is loosening, but it's still a little bit present. So that's why when something comes and makes an angle to Pluto, it's also having this influence with Uranus. It's like this double teaming of energy. You know, I always say that these things are not to be feared. They are to be used productively. So it's not generally the most sweet aspects that encourage us to go deep and get through a challenge to get to the other side, right? Sweetness just brings kind of ease and grace, and we're not usually in a sweet spot like saying, gosh, all these things are wrong, I need to like go to the root cause of something. You know, it's just, that's not what helps us to break through from the things that are causing us the most problem. It's these challenging aspects. But it's precisely a challenging aspect that we need to uproot something that has been very long-standing and creating a ruckus in our lives, whether we've been aware of it or not. That is the root source. So when you have these challenging aspects, just get ready to get in and get dirty, you know, and make the most of them. We've got a new moon in Cancer with major baggage because this Mercury and Mars that I was talking about opposing Pluto is happening at the new moon. So we want this nice energy to be gracing your finances with newness, and it probably will. It will plant some seeds, but you've got this chaos around. But definitely still make your new moon wishes. Make your wishes with anything involving Cancer energy, home, real estate related things, your sense of home, family, ancestry, psychology, your psychology, working with people with their family problems or matters. You want to make your new moon wishes still, but just know that there's a lot going on here. You want to be able to get it out. And your Geminis are so mental, you tend to get really spun out. Woo! Like just like spin, 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 spin. Whenever these transits come and are applying pressure, your mental space gets a lot of pressure put on it. So you want to try to keep your head as clear as possible. Whatever things you can do beforehand, since you know this is going to go on beforehand, just be ready to be getting clear. So on July 18th, then Mercury comes and makes this challenging aspect to Uranus. And again, it's like nerve jangling. It's awkward in its expression. You just want to be really careful around these times that what you're doing with your body, what other people are doing with their bodies, what's going on with heavy machinery, you know, what could come out of the blue. If you're walking, don't be texting while you're walking. You know, something could fall on you. You could trip over something. It's more likely that there's going to be awkwardness for you and for other people where people aren't paying attention or are really aggro and they're just like, there's aggressive energy. So you just want to have your wits about you. Then on July 21st through the 23rd, we have more of this energy of sweetness that comes from the sun, which adds vibrance to wherever it is, and then Mercury, which rules communication and is your ruling planet. So this is a really nice aspect, making it's a nice aspect making another nice aspect to Saturn. So this is like your pat on the back. This is like your something positive coming from something you've been working on. Then we have July 25th, a very important time, Venus in retrograde. If you have some projects that you're launching, please get them out by these first several days in July before the cacophony starts. You want to get them when the symphony is happening, right? Not when the madness happens. You want your birth date of your introduction of your things to the world to be in sweetness and coherence, not in chaos. If you are working with someone that is saying your website, your company, your product is going to be ready to launch in the middle to end of July, you call them up and you say, step it up. Pay extra money if you have to do it. If you got to get this out before those planets are doing their things. Even if you can't get everything out, even if, like, let's say you're working on a website and you can't get the whole thing out, get several pages of it out, you know? Get something where it's launched and its birth date is there. Then you can use the Venus retrograde, which rules money-related and business-related things, to go back over your business and say what needs to be added here, and then be adding things and working on things, but not have your official launch happen in that time. This is the same thing with love. You want to avoid making major commitments between July 25th and September 8th. If you're pending kind of in your relationship of moving in with someone, that's not the best time to do it. Hold off. You don't want to have the anniversary of you moving in together be when Venus is in retrograde. Venus rules love and it doesn't have full steam at that time. Also, you're not seeing clearly things that Venus rules. Love, beauty, money, elective cosmetic surgeries between July 25th and September 8th, or even close to those times. I would avoid that like the plague. If you have something scheduled, cancel it and reconsider and make sure you've done all your research and do it when the stars are better. You don't want something that could be permanent, you know, happening when Venus, which rules those things, is just kind of sleepy. So Venus retrograde is a fantastic time for some things. It's a fantastic time for getting smoking hot bargains on expensive things. It's not a good time to pay high price for luxury items. Don't do that. It's not a good time to decorate your house or redesign your house. Design things, Venus rules those things. You're not seeing clearly. Those purple shades that you think are awesome when Venus is in retrograde, you're going to want to throw up all over everything when they're direct, when Venus is direct, because it's just, you're not seeing clearly with anything involving love, beauty, money, aesthetics. So what it is a good time for too, like I said, is bargains. If you've been stocking certain products and you find, like, you know, you have a really good deal on something, you can get really good deals. Now, because this is true, because of the transit, since people are selling things without a value, without thinking clearly, they're desperate, or they're being emotional, or something weird is going on. That's why you can get such a good deal, you know? So you don't want to be that person selling your expensive items when Venus is in retrograde, because you're not going to get what their value is, and you may regret it. It may have been an emotional decision. So Venus retrograde is also the best time. This happens once every 18 months. This is the best time for doing couples counseling, or if you're not having a problem, sometimes there's a stigma behind couples counseling where someone is like, oh my gosh, they're in counseling. Well, listen, you got to stop that right now, because everybody should be in counseling. Because everybody has problems, and if they're not telling you about it, they're lying, because they have them, because humans have problems, and that's just it. So let's everybody get over it and be totally supportive of people taking care of themselves in relationships and valuing them by getting assistance where there are problems, and getting assistance in making things smoother even where they are good already. You can be proactive and make your relationship so much better by taking the time with it now. And it doesn't have to be, you know, counseling per se, or working with a psychologist per se, but most of the problems that people have are based in their own internal psychological problems that are not resolved. So this is a good time to excavate those things, you know, and it's a great time to return back to a harmonious place with a partner. If you know, things had cooled off, or you hadn't been paying attention, it's a really good time to put focus into your relationship. And also, it's not the best time to make a big decision about relationship. So if a relationship, like breakup, is pending, this is a good reconsideration process, but it's not the best time to make the decision if you can help it, because you don't have all the factors, and if you're having to be strong in a decision, you won't have as much strength in keeping the decision intact that you're trying to make. So it's a good time to reconsider, but not the best time to make the actual decisions. So we have all of that going on. We have Uranus is going retrograde, and Uranus is in Aries, and this is ruling this topic of freedom. What is freedom to you? If you have been following yourself and your questions about freedom throughout your life, you may notice that what is free for you now is not the same as was free for you a year ago, or 10 years ago, or whatever. This is an ongoing personal subjective evaluation that is just important to you, you know, and maybe you can find a consensus with certain things that you're working on where other people agree with those pieces, but your subjective review of what freedom is for you is under review now. And it's good to ask the questions, why am I not free? What can I do to become more free? But again, kind of hold off on actually doing anything about it until you get a clearer picture of making sure that you're not being hasty, because energy of Uranus and Aries can be very hasty. So you want to just look at the true root behind things. If you say, I'm not free because my partner is this and this and this, well, maybe that's true on some level, but what's more true is that why did you attract in someone who's this and this and this? You're the common denominator between all the patterns and problems that you have had. And if every time you're in a different relationship, it's something else, or it's the same thing with a different phase, that has nothing to do with the other person. That has everything to do with you. So you want to make sure you're resolving at the core the issues that are not making you feel free, which is why I love inner work and always go back to inner work. A wonderful suggestion for inner work, I've talked about this before, is a book called The Presence Process by Michael Brown. He coaches you through this 10-week journey where you start to evaluate and clear up the places where you were imprinted in childhood and you're stuck in those programs that are still playing themselves out into your adult life, and how you shift them so that you become free of the programs. It's a magnificent journey, and it's, again, very affordable, so you can find it on Amazon. So then we have the last full moon of the month on July 31st. This month has 2 full moons. It's rare in that way. And this full moon is in Aquarius. Some of you are going to experience this in the 9th house, so some fullness or completion coming involving long distance travel or international relations or different countries or publishing or speaking or teaching or learning in some way, learning programs, teaching programs. The rest of you are going to experience this in the 8th house. Fullness coming to something involving credit or debt or something related to spouse or family or money or inheritances. Things can come to fullness there. There can also be an additional flare of drama here because Venus has retrograded back into Leo, and this whole retrograde of Venus in Venus in retrograde time is very marked by Venus in Leo. So some drama can be present here, but again, it's for the purpose of finding out what the source of the problem is and getting that worked out. So I can't see what's going on in your personal chart. I'd like very much to. If you'd like to have a live reading with me, you can go to my website, aspiritualspark.com, or click on the link below this video and see more about my live coaching. Also, you can check out my 28-day virtual coaching program called Shine. I've gotten to see the charts of people all over the world in every age group over an extended period of time, and I have seen that as much as there are differences, more than that, there's sameness. People are asking the same kinds of questions, they're having the same kinds of problems, and they're wanting the same things. So the Shine program is intended to help you clear out the things that are in the way of you getting the things that you want and being happy and having more grace in your experience. And it's available on a sliding scale. And if you would like to have a monthly write-up of the astrological transits that I talk about and some other ones that I don't, then definitely sign up for my free email newsletter, because when you become part of my community by doing that, that's one of the perks that you get is I send out a monthly write-up so that you have it on paper and you have it beforehand, and you can kind of check out what's going on and have it in a more tangible place. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.